Alright, so it's been a while since I've talked about solo raids, and we have gotten new information about it since then, but I haven't really talked about it yet. And there is probably going to be more information here soon as Low-On is coming up. So I want to go over why I think the potential of solo raids is good, even for you sweats who don't really care to use it, why it would be good for the game in general. Now there is only a few known things about it. The two things being that it goes up to Ivory Tower and all classes can do it, even supports. My hope is as they keep on adding new raids, they push up the solo raid up one more tier with every tier that they add. Because their overall design is they still want endgame, the final ones to be group content. Now, since they did say that they are going to design it so supports can do it too, I'm hoping that you get an NPC party. When it comes to Legion raids, I think it would actually be a really cool design if your party was just the side rails for that gate. And then when I guess it comes to Abyssal Dungeons, it's going to be more of a pick your own party, craft your own party situation. And the reason why I put so much focus on having a party there is for those supports, so they can actually learn how to play support. They're not going to learn how to play their class if they're just being juiced up as like a huge damage modifier on their damage skills to make up as a DPS. And the same thing can be said about back attackers. If they don't have the ability to chase the back because the target is always focused on you, you just can't do anything. So I really do hope that they give you a party or some sort of way so you can actually learn how to play your class how it's supposed to be in raids, as opposed to, I guess, Chaos Dungeon, where you are technically still playing the class, but you're not still playing it in the way you would in raids. So let's hope that classes can keep their role in agency in solo play. And just beyond your class itself, I think it's really good for people to actually just learn the game in general. Because the thing is, for us older players who have been playing since the launch, we've actually seen mechanics that we see in Theamite way earlier. For example, we saw the first pizza mechanics out in like Velganos. We see different variations of the mechanic out in different raids. We see, a boss turning around with two beams. We call that showtime because we first experienced that in Clown. One of the earlier mechanics in G3 Theamite, we call it Albion because Albion is the boss of Oriha as well. Or is that Preveza? Whatever, one of it, it's an Oriha boss. A lot of newer players don't really get to experience raids as they were intended, as we got to experience them as everybody was leveling up. A lot of the early raids, if they die, the party is still going to just clear without them because people are either really experienced or really juiced. If you're not major overgearing your solo raids, these players are going to be able to experience a lot of these mechanics and just learn a lot of the mechanics of the game that you're going to really experience throughout the long term of Lost Ark. Additionally, I think solo raids will actually work out as a pretty good practice mode, because we really only have training procal for this. But now if you really want to take some time out and just grind out your character, learn how to play it a little bit better, try to min-max a little bit, understand it well, you can just get to the end of the boss and then just restart the raid. This is something you really can't do in group play because then you're going to be impeding other people's progress. So when people really want to learn a certain class or fight, they can actually just grind it out with solo raids. Well, as long as a solo raid is present for it. Which, in a similar topic, I think this would also help people with raid anxiety. Again, only for the raids that will have a solo mode, but they are able to practice the raids and just be able to be more prepared for the raids so they can kind of focus on other things instead. Because my understanding raid anxiety is that people just don't want to really screw up in front of other people. They're kind of afraid of that failure and just showing that off. But if they can just go slap chop the raid as a solo, they might be more confident in doing it as a group. And then on the last part for the topic of learning, I gotta say that I really hope that they don't just make it a complete steamroll. It should retain major mechanics even if they are altered, and it still should be challenging for players to learn. Because I really do think that this has potential to be a really good learning tool for players to actually get acclimated with the game. Because of how much content people now skip throughout the game due to just how fast people progress in the early level or just power passes existing in general. Now, a big thing about Lost Ark and just playing with a community or a static, due to how the game is designed with item levels, is basically designed that your groups, the people you play with, the community, are all there to kind of push you to pushing up your characters if you are falling behind. If you can't keep up with the boys, but you still want the gold, you're kind of screwed and you gotta pug, or you gotta hope that they're gonna run content with you off their main 3 grades. I have a friend in my static who is in that exact situation. He is now only pushing 3 characters, while his other 3 he's just using them as gold farmers that he's not pushing anymore. Those are actual alts. So even though we are still running things like Kaya with him to get him some gold, but now if he really wants to, and anybody in this situation, they can just pop out these raids whenever they want on their own time. They don't have to worry about other people, and it would actually really work out pretty well in this situation since he is located in the UK and everybody else over here is North America. But what I'm saying is that it helps remove that feeling that you had to keep up with the pack on all your characters. You can actually just dedicate people out to gold learners without really any concerns, which leads on to the next topic. There is one thing that everybody who pugs, they hate this thing about this game. Even the people with mostly statics, they still hate this thing. They hate lobby simulator, and solo raids would get rid of it for anything that you can solo raid. Being stuck in Party Finder, being stuck in Lobby Simulator is one of the most miserable things about Lost Ark, because Lost Ark is there to give you a ton of things to do every day, every week. However, when you are in Party Finder and when you are matchmaking, you cannot do most of those things. Since most of the important things are instance based, you're just kind of screwed. You just can't do it while you're in Party Finder. So I think this can save people a lot of time. And then you also don't have to worry about gatekeeping. You are your own gatekeeper in this situation, because a common thing about Lost Ark Party Finders is generally like different tiers of Party Finder in every raid. There's basically the on item level group, which basically none of the other parties will take. A tier above that is the people that are slightly overgeared for it, and then there's going to be like the super juice farm group, like bring 1630s in the triangle. And especially for the lower content, there's not going to be that many parties up there. It's going to be a little bit harder to find your parties. Solo raids, you can just do it. If you clear it with that gear, you can find it, just keep it that way, or you can decide to upgrade your gear and just make it a little faster for yourself. You don't have to worry about overgearing or overcompensating yourself just to get into parties. Also, let's not forget the whole thing with like new power systems, where it's like, hey, this raid has this new power system, but we want you to have the power system to get accepted into my party for it. You do ivory towers to get elixirs, but people are denying you because you don't have any elixirs when you're trying to apply for ivory towers. So how do you get them? Solo raids would bridge that gap, because let's be honest, people aren't going to change. And another perk I haven't mentioned yet is when you have a party disband in the middle of gates. Because if you're trying to get a party at gate 2 or gate 3 or anything, you just don't have that big of a pool of players to go with. It's good that you can just go solo and get it done. Now, the success of solo raids is 100% contingent on the rewards. That one thing can make or break all of this. It can make it completely great or completely useless. If they get rid of the gold gain out of it, then it's basically useless. Well, not completely useless, it's still basically just a practice room then, but either way, it wouldn't be great. Nobody would opt to do it as opposed to doing a raid normally. Now, there is a little bit of concern if it was to give full gold. And the only concern of that is, hey, it would basically just kill Party Finder for that. For what little parties there are left on the lower item level content, there's going to be even less when solo raids come out, and if they do have the same gold and overall rewards. It's not the end of the world, and again, that content is pretty dead anyways. Now, if they could actually get and retain new players to actually fill up the Party Finder, then, you know, maybe I would feel a little bit more against this concept. But I think as we are right now, the pros would absolutely outweigh the cons if it was a full gold reward. No, I think if you made the reward a little bit less under it, like give them all full materials, all the drops, that's fine. But say the gold was dropped to 80% of the total. I don't think losing 20% is the end of the world. I think people who just want to get the raid done on their own convenience, on their own time, they'll absolutely still do solo. But for those who want the max amount of gold, then they have Party Finder for that. This allows people to make the choice, as I think that when you have no gold on it, or if you have all the gold on it, the game kind of makes a choice for you by design. While yes, you do have the choice to do it solo or in a group, people are just really afraid of being put into a jail. Solo raid gets rid of the variance of other players. So for those who just want to get their gold, that just makes sense. And that's why I really think that no matter who you are, you should look forward to solo raids, even if you don't plan to do them. They are overall a net positive for the entire community and for the lifespan of the game. Ironically, I think solo raids would benefit the Western player base more than it would KR. And that is again because our low player acquisition and also our low player retention. These are two things I'm always going to keep on bringing up, because them along with fatigue are the three biggest things that are dragging Lost Ark down. But again, the first two are a little bit more Western specific. I also do think this is one of the type of contents that could be expedited over to our version, which would also make solo raiding more relevant for us because we're going to be having more players in those raids that have it. But that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching, like, sub, and let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to when it comes to solo raids, or I guess maybe if you're still against them, let me know.